I don't know. I just love this music like a lot. Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome back to the Game Changers. We are on episode 104. I'm your host, Carla, and tonight I'm turning up the heat with the brilliant Michael Pelton. Michael doesn't just know the game, he reads the plays before they happen. And we are about to pull back the curtain on the game behind the game. Big love to the TSA team for fueling this mission of amplifying voices and sparking ideas. This show exists because of visionaries like them and listeners like you. If you want fantasy football gold, perspective shifting stories, or a fresh way to see the world, you are in the right place. The Game Changers isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Let's get into it. Who is Michael Pelton? Tonight's guest is Michael Pelton, a husband, father, and community builder whose love for football began with video games and trading cards. Michael and his wife have been together since they were teenagers. They have built a life in Northeast Ohio with their two kids, Carter and Camilla, a Bernedoodle named Smokey, and a cat named Peanut. By then, he spent the last 10 years managing Verizon wireless stores and districts, but by night and weekends, he's been growing something that's become a second career: IDP fantasy football. Michael's fandom traces back to 1999 when a Nintendo 64 and NFL Blitz introduced him to the 49ers and taught him what loyalty looks like. He's played fantasy for roughly 20 years and fell in love with IDP Dynasty formats about a decade ago. Since then, he started four leagues, helped launch many more locally, converted friends into IDP believers, and connected with influential voices online. Those connections led to opportunities he never expected. And now he's part of launching an industry IDP league with some of the sharpest minds in the game. Michael's work is about more than rankings and rosters. It's about community, education, and sharing a game he truly loves. Michael, thank you for joining me tonight. Let's get into how you build this word and what's next. How are you tonight, Michael?
I am great. What that introduction was phenomenal. Maybe probably the best of my life. So thank you so much for that. And I'm very excited about this. And thank you so much for having me.
That's such an honor, Michael. Thank you so much for being on the show. So, Michael, let's start with your journey. Tell me about that Nintendo 64 moment. How did NFL Blitz turn into lifelong fandom?
Yeah. I think it was a Christmas gift. Mom got me a Nintendo 64. And it branched off into bigger things than that. Madden leagues for those listening that have done that. The fantasy drafts. Sort of building teams through that, getting your friends together. But yeah, in Nintendo 64, little Michael was scrolling through there, trying to figure out the game, trying to pick a team. In Ohio, there was no Browns to pick from. If you guys go back, they were the Ravens. So I went with the Niners, and here we are. I think that's like a stubborn guy thing, just to stick with the sports team, through the ups and downs. And definitely have done that. I was part of when we were getting the number one overall picks for the Niners. I was there front and center. So good and bad.
That's great. That's awesome. You've converted a lot of people to IDP. What's the single idea that wins them over every single time?
Yeah, I think I had a good friend of mine, still is part of my family actually, David Sanders, and he knew I played fantasy football, and then he got me into IDP Dynasty,
Yeah.
and from there it just took over. I couldn't go back. I couldn't play regular fantasy football, offensive only anymore, and I knew that if I felt like that, other people probably would too. So I got all my local friends that were just sort of playing redraft, offensive only, and started talking to them about what I was experiencing, the kind of fantasy football I was playing. It was hard for me to even have conversations with them about ball sometimes because we were playing on just two different wavelengths. So decided to start my own leagues with some of these friends that really since high school, we're playing redraft, offensive only. Guys that I knew loved football, loved fantasy football, and I knew would be perfect for it, and maybe just show them something that they didn't even know was there. And after that, I guess the mission was born, and one league turned into two, turned into three. Now some of those guys are like starting some of their leagues with some of their friends, and it's just booming out here. Well, it's really turned into something pretty fun.
That's crazy. I really love that. Like right now, you're saying that some of your friends are playing. I never played fantasy football, but there's a lot of my friends around me that they are posting right now. Oh, I won my league. I won my league. I'm like, are you kidding me? You play? You have to come on the show. So it's everybody is playing nowadays the fantasy football, either IGP or doing something else. It's such an interesting game. I might be looking into it at some point. We
Well,
will
Carla,
see.
you have so many resources around you. You'd probably be a
I know.
powerhouse in the. Sorry, my little cat here. Peanut. There's Peanut. There's a. You'd probably be a powerhouse in the industry. I'm sure.
Oh,
If you decided to take a leap into that, but um, kind of what you said there. It's growing. Fantasy football
yes.
since my high school days. Talking to our good friend Greg. He was keeping track of fantasy football on newspapers, waiting for the stats to come out. And, then I did in high school and kind of got into the smartphone world, and it was easier. And I feel like IDP is sort of growing just like regular fantasy football did. It was just a little bit late to the party, but every year I'm in it. I mean, it seems like more and more people are playing, and if you magnify that across the whole playing platform, you got to imagine that there's some opportunity here for IDP.
Well, it's becoming legal, so
Yeah, yeah, there you
we can
go. I
at
hope
least say
so.
that. So, Michael, what's the first thing you want listeners to know about you tonight that they don't know?
um, that I guess like I said in my article, I'm a family guy, family first. That really is the foundation to everything I do. But just I think I hear in relevance to fantasy football, I hear so many people say, "Oh, IDP is too complicated. It's too hard," and I want those people to know that it doesn't have to be, and it's not. And if you can figure out who you think is going to get the most receptions, you can do the same thing with tackles. Just don't overthink it. Maybe try something new, and I think that will benefit a lot of people.
That's really cool to know. Tell us the story on how you and your wife met at 13 and 14.
Yeah, that's a story there. We might need another show, but no. So okay, I live in a little town, New London, Ohio, is where I went to school at, and this girl moved to our school from another like nearby town, and she's like, hey, this girl at my school, I think you would really like her at my old school. So AOL Instant Messenger, if anyone remembers that, we kind of exchanged those, and we would talk on there, and eventually talk to parents into, driving us to each other's houses, and from there it just kind of never stopped. And now we are in our 30s, mid 30s, and two kids, and trying to make it all happen. So it's a little bit of a high
So
school
sweet.
sweetheart situation.
That's a such sweet story. I love. I'm a sucker for these stories, so I love hearing all of this stuff. What's one family ritual that keeps you grounded during football season?
Um, I gotta say, just Christmas. Honestly, I think Christmas represents so much to my family, to my wife, even on my mom and dad's side. A lot of traditions there, and every time Christmas is here, football's in full swing. So I gotta say, Christmas.
That's nice. I love Christmas too. Like Christmas is the best thing ever for me.
Oh, we decorate the
Surrounding
whole
my
house. Yeah.
family.
I just took stuff out to the garage, Christmas decorations. I mean, we got totes and totes. My wife loves it. I mean, after I always tell her kind of, after Thanksgiving, after Halloween. I'm sorry, after Halloween, you go ahead. There you go. You go ahead and start decorating. Clearly, I have my hobbies, and if that's hers, then you go ahead and start decorating as early as you want.
Are you someone that likes gifts and opening gifts like me, Michael?
Oh,
because
of
I'm
course.
like, I want to open a gift, any gift. Just, oh, you don't want to open it? I'll open it for you. It's okay.
Well, in the
Love doing that.
parenting world, I guess that form is making sure that they have what they want. Making sure that
Yeah.
they have those gifts. So I guess seeing that
Yes.
is my gift. So
I have three my own, so I do know what you mean, and it's such a different feeling for Christmas when you see that
yeah,
whatever they're asking you can provide, which is really amazing. And it's not about how much the gift is; it's about just how can you provide for them whatever they're asking for, even
yeah.
for just a little thing.
We got our little one. We still got the magic of Santa in the house too. So that always makes it fun. We got the elf on the shelf still. Coming around every morning, making sure that he's seen and heard. So it's pretty fun.
I love that. So your kids, how old they are, and do they play fantasy football?
Good question. 9 and 13. It was Carter, my oldest son here. He just started this year, so he got he got into his first year of fantasy football, and it taught him a thing or two. He ran into some injuries. He ran into some picks that were supposed to be good that were not, and fantasy football did not treat him well his first year.
Oh,
But I was trying to help him out best I could, but yeah, he had some players that he drafted high and just didn't work out.
is he doing IDP too, or he's doing something with Scottish?
No, no IDP for him just yet. He joined. My cousin is one of these stubborn individuals who does not want to play IDP, so he needed a extra person. So me and my son got in that league. Believe it or not, though, my wife is. I think she's 3 years into playing IDP Dynasty Fantasy Football. Yeah, so her
I
first
have to
year
have
into
your
the
wife on the show.
I told her I think that she might be a better guest than me, but yeah,
You're
she's
both
diving into
good guests.
that. she's
Definitely. Oh my God.
she's giving these guys a run for their money. They're trying to send her some trade offers that are leave something to be desired, and she's calling them out on it. So it's really fun to I guess sit down to dinner sometimes, and we're talking about the waiver, who we're going to pick up on Tuesday nights. We always had a little waiver conversation in the family.
I love this connection when you have with your significant other. Like you can talk sports, you can talk dance, you can talk everything with your significant other. And it makes you feel like different. Are you guys coming to the expo this year? And is your wife coming with you?
I have brought it up to her a couple times. It's something that I've been wanting to go to even before I got into this world. I
Yes.
wanted, living in Ohio, going to the Football Hall of Fame is something that I know I would have a great time at. I'm pretty sure my son would. I know my wife would. So, making a weekend out of it just for that, and then the expo on top of it. Um, yeah, it seems like it would be a great time to go down there and have some fun.
Awesome. And starting early this year, just to let you know, it's not gonna be a little late. So it's starting early.
What
Um,
time? When do they have that?
JC, I don't know if you remember. Can you write that down in the chat? It's not. I don't remember it out of my
Yeah, she's
head.
gonna
Right
want to
now. My
know like
brain
what
is like
hotels people are staying at. She's gonna want to know like all the itinerary. I'm just
I
more
can I
show up
can
and
send
be
you all
there.
informations for sure. I can send you all informations because usually the DoubleTree is really close by for everything around. It's such an amazing experience. I've been going for 4 years now. Every single year is such a great experience to see people like you, get to know them more, connect with people that speak football and non-football stuff. So it's really awesome to build like this family community. It's
Yeah, I
amazing what
think I would.
Bob
I
did.
mean, I would commute back and forth to work like an hour or more for several years at a time, and playing fantasy football, I dove into so many podcasts.
Yeah.
IDP Nation, IDP Show, PFF. I mean, all of those guys, and being in this world, kind of meeting some of those people has been awesome. So meeting them in person at the expo would be even better yet.
You will get to meet the Godfather. I always mess up with the name and say the grandfather, but he's the Godfather of IDP, the Godfather of IDP. I love him, and when you meet him, you're gonna fall in love with the
I did
Godfather of IDP.
watch your show with him actually, and I've
Yes,
heard him talk on many podcasts. And this league that we're starting, he was fashionably late, probably Godfather-esque style, the last one in. We're kind of waiting
yes.
on his votes here, and here he rolls in late, and kind of puts his stamp of approval on everything. So
I can't. I love him so much. I built such a great friendship circle there, and I do have a lot of respect for a lot of people there. So let's talk about Smokey and Peanut. How did they earn their names?
Um, Peanut here. I was on my way home one night. I was stopped at a stoplight. This sounds like something made up, but I heard a little meow, and it was just, I literally got out of my car at a stoplight and chased down this sound that was in a ditch, and it was a little just cat, Peanut. And he looked like the color wise like a peanut. And
Nice.
then we kind of kept that with my dog. He's an all black Bernedoodle dog with a little bit of gray. Look like Smokey. So that's what we went with.
I love that. I love those names. I lost my baby Bichon Frise. His name is Tiger not a long time ago. So our like pets are furry pets. They are like so much like our kids. So
Very much so.
it was so hard. It was so hard. Um, so tell me, like, what's a small everyday moment with Carter and Camilla that makes you smile?
Morning times are definitely eventful. Sitting down dinner time, we always make it a point to, no phones at the dinner table. Try to ask each other about their day. We even try to maybe play some games. So I think dinner time is definitely special. And every now and then I get a chance to take my son to like wrestling practice and football practice. Those car rides are always special to me, and seeing what he's going through and making sure I'm there to support him, is always a fun time.
That's great. I love that. I'm trying to get JC's attention for the expo dates, but I do believe he's a little busy or something. I'll try and search it and send it to you at some point.
Is it put online? Do they have like I'm sure they have a whole website and everything like that.
Yes, they do. They do.
I'll
I'll
track
send
it
you.
down, and
I'll send it to you. Yeah.
I'll definitely make sure that
So
we put it on the calendar. And
you should. You should. Like you should. You will get connected with a lot of people. I would love to see you as well this year, Michael. So we get to see you. Maybe I get to see your wife and get to meet
absolutely.
her too. That would be awesome. Michael, if you could go back in time, like 9 years old, Michael, with the
Mm,
N64, what
okay.
would you tell? What would you tell that Michael at that time?
Um, Honestly, it would be to trust your gut. I think because the longer the more we go on, we want security. We want things I think that provide stability.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about going to school right now again for something that I was thinking about going to school for right after high school. And boy, if I would have just trusted my gut, I might have saved a lot of time there, because here I am still, how many years later, wanting to do the same thing. And I always had that passion, to keep this about football. And it was always secondary. I didn't really chase it. It was always just something that we talked about, and I never really even tried to get into this world. And look how easy it was. So
That's such an amazing thing to tell your 9-year-old self at some point. What's the best piece of advice your mom ever gave you about fandom or life?
best piece of advice my mom ever gave me. Um, I don't know if it was more of a piece of advice, but it was just more of a constant reminder. I think to be a good person,
Yes,
that you don't have to sort of give into negative mindsets and that sort of stuff. And she was always positive. She always provided. She always made sure we had what we needed. Maybe when she didn't even have what she needed. So I would say just be positive. Keep that outlook. true to yourself, and I think she would agree with that.
That's such an amazing, amazing thing to say. You have an amazing mom, I'm sure.
Very, very
What's
much
one
so.
thing? What's one thing about you that surprises most people when they meet you, and why?
Um, One thing that surprises people when they meet me, I think maybe my hobbies, or when
What
they,
kind of hobbies?
uh, I played pool, billiards since I was able to lean over a table and shoot pool. It's been in my family forever. My grandpa played, my uncles played, my dad did, and then my best friend in life just happened to also play. So it's like I couldn't have not played even if I wanted to. It seemed like, and um, it's one thing to play it. It's another thing to kind of be at a different level with it, and
Yeah.
be at a level that most people don't see, maybe ever. So it's I think my hobbies, yeah, it was kind of a natural like little backyard games like darts, cornhole, anything with hand-eye coordination I can lock in pretty good with rather quickly.
I love that. I love it. Let's talk a little bit about, family roots and career. What how has being a husband and a father shaped the way you approach fantasy football and community building?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it took a back seat if I'm being 100% honest for a little while. I chased my career. I wanted that stability. Um, wanted that money, I guess. Yeah, I climbed the corporate ladder for Verizon and started off as like a sales rep, and got
Yeah.
into different stores and that sort of thing, and eventually became a district manager. And when you do that,
Wow.
it doesn't leave a lot of extra time for things like your hobbies and um, fantasy football. And but aside from that, I think I approach it, very calculated, very strategical, very organized. Try to have a method to my madness in a way.
That's something great to balance, like district manager for Verizon. It's amazing.
It's a lot.
So I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it.
I said it's a lot. I
It
don't
is.
really. I did it for 2 years, I think, maybe two and a half, and then I stepped back down to the store role, so locally, and then that just once I had that experience mixed with the free time now,
Yeah.
uh, that's why we're even sitting here today. So it's been a pretty fun ride, and got to do a lot of fun things that I've sort of been neglecting for a while. So
Wow. So tell me, who's in your family is the most competitive and why?
my family, the most competitive, probably I'm going to start with my son. Um,
Yes?
he's still got the fire. Most of us have been tarnished, I think, a little bit by defeat, at least at some point in life, and he hasn't had to have a whole bunch of that just yet. He's quite the athlete, and doing great with wrestling and football and all that fun stuff. So, aside from that, though, probably my cousin Joe, maybe my cousin Jeremy, something like that.
So your son took it from you.
Oh, he definitely got it from me. Yeah, he does. I'm
Definitely.
a little bit more humble, I think,
Yeah.
than he is. But when I'm on a hot streak, I can reach that level.
That's crazy. I love that though. I love that. So walk us through the moment NFL Blitz made you a 49ers fan. And what about that team clicked for you?
Um, I guess I do a lot of things that I want it to be balanced. You know, I think the logo I'm looking at right now, the logo kind of stood out to me. I like the colors, right? Yeah, those are some of the main things I think at that age that you probably look for. Make sure the uniforms got to look right. And then aside from that, they had, I think that's when Terrell Owens and Jerry Rice were both on the team. They had Steve Young was on the team. Everything on defense was pretty balanced, and I'm a pretty stubborn guy. Once I do things, I tend to do them for a long time, pretty
Yeah.
consistently. And yeah, I just never wanted to pick another team, never. And yeah, that's really about as simple as it got. I probably beat a lot of people too, which
Yeah.
gave me the confidence to keep using the Niners. And when I play Madden with my son, he's ultra competitive, like I just said. He cannot beat me in Madden, and it ends in hostility a little bit. He's not too happy. So we spread those games out. It's a special event when we sit down and play Madden.
What's your favorite 49ers memory as a fan?
Mm. I remember watching them play the Green Bay Packers, staying up late. Mom let me stay up late and watch them play the Packers. And T.O. caught a ball in the end zone right in between two Packers and went on to, I think, advance in the playoffs or go to the playoffs. I can't remember exactly which one, but that stood out to me as like, wow, this just happened. This is my team. That's my guy. T.O. was my number one. I was the number one fan. Had his jersey in Ohio. Nobody's having a T.O. jersey in Ohio back then. So, yeah, he was my guy. And seeing him make that play in prime time, get to stay up late, it felt like I was on top of the world.
That's crazy. I love that. Which 49ers player from any era would you most want to have a beer with and
Hmm.
why?
I most want to have a beer with and why? What a
Maybe
question.
a coffee,
I
it's
love
fine.
the question, first off. Man, so many come to mind. I would want to sit down, I think, with Patrick Willis and talk with him about his career and some of the decisions he made. Um, he was one of the best for as long as he was in the league and kind of cut his career a little bit short. And those ones always interest me. You feel like you worked your whole life to get there. You're on top of the world. You did it. You're one of the best in the league. And then for some reason, life pulls you in a different direction, and I love that. I think about that with my
Yeah.
friends. You only got one life to live, and maybe you just want to try something else. So I think I'd like to sit down with old Patrick Willis and pick his brain a little bit on why he did that. I don't
I
know if
love I
you
love
can
those names. Yeah, I
but
love that. I love that. So, tell me a little bit about how do you explain for you your team loyalty to someone who switches teams more
oh
often?
oh it doesn't sit well with me. Number one, okay. But I understand things happen. My cousin Jeremy, grew up a Dolphins fan, switched over, kind of supports the Browns now.
Oh,
But he's a little indifferent. But I understand that we're local. This is where we're from. We can support a local team, and a lot of people have given me a hard time about being a Niners fan from Ohio. Because they're not the home team. Why am I a fan? And I got to go explain the whole Nintendo 64 thing, and it's a whole situation. But um, I guess to those that switch teams, I hope you guys find happiness in what you do. But when you're loyal to something and it pays off, there's no better feeling.
now, I love to stick with one team, even if they're losing, and that's how much loyalty means to me. You need to be loyal to your team, no matter what. If they're losing, if they're not, you have for me, in my opinion, it's totally different from fantasy football. If you're loyal to a team, just stick with that team. So it teach me a lot about the person if they're not, honestly.
Yeah, you can go through the ups and downs with them. You can see them at their highs and lows. You can be invested in the draft picks and the decisions that they make. And
Yeah.
if you're kind of all over the place, I don't know how fun that is. But I guess you got a lot to keep track of at that point.
So I've been watching 49ers lately, and they've been doing a lot of good stuff. How do you handle friends who root for rival teams?
Some of them do that, I think, just to get a rise out of me, because they know, obviously who I root for, and I've done it for a long time. And if they're watching football and the Niners are on, a lot of them are probably thinking of me. And the rooting for, one of my Carter's friends was over here the other night, and he
Yeah.
was he was jawing about the Seahawks, knowing that I'm a Niners fan. So I just sort of take it with a grain of salt. Some friendly banter is always good. So just give it back
I
to
get it.
Michael.
I get it. You should see when everybody is sitting here in my in my sitting area, and I'm with the Chiefs, and everyone is like talking trash about the Chiefs. Oh yeah, you know that
Yeah,
they
you guys
pay
missed the
this, they pay
playoffs.
that.
How are you
Are
handling
you
that? I
kidding
mean,
me?
you guys got the dynasty over there, and all of a sudden we just missed the playoffs. I mean,
I
I can't feel
know.
great.
It was a tough year for them this year. They didn't play. They didn't play well. So it happened. But I still believe that next year is gonna be maybe another year. So
Oh,
this
and
this has been a year for every single like high ranked team for me. It was a different perspective. Like the teams that supposedly they gonna win, they never won. Did you
I
see the
think
difference
that's the
this year?
beautiful
It was
thing
it was
about the
crazy.
NFL. I mean, you just don't know who's going to be on top. I mean, there's no clear
Yes.
favorite right now in the NFL, and that's I think part of the appeal, and that's why it's such a powerful industry is because there's not a front runner. We kind of seen that with the NBA, and I think people lost interest, quite frankly, and
Yeah.
have a team like the Chiefs miss the playoffs, and I mean the Colts were hot; they missed the playoffs. I mean, there's so many that the Lions missed the playoffs. Is insane that those kind of teams
The
can miss the
higher ranked.
playoffs.
Yeah.
It says a lot about the state of the NFL, and I think it's a good thing.
A lot of injuries this year as well. A lot of injuries, especially like Mahomes. Who would think that he's gonna have a surgery right now and he might come back, he might not come back next year. Hopefully, we will see what's gonna happen. So for you being a 49ers, who you think is gonna make the playoffs this year, Michael, in your opinion?
As far as like make help us make a push here.
Yeah, who do you think? Who you're rooting for? Who's gonna
Oh
make
well,
the
I mean, I got to root for the Niners,
definitely.
and if they do well, then I tend to root for the NFC West as well. Just to be able to say, well, look how hard we had it, that sort of thing. But out of the AFC, I mean, it's anyone's game. I hate to like even the Jaguars are looking hot right now. I mean, it just is so wide open. Um,
Yeah.
with who could take it. I really don't even have a guess hardly. But NFC, I just got to keep my eyes on the prize. Niners have fought through injuries all year long. I did not think they would end up in the playoffs, let alone have a shot at the NFC number one seed. So I think that's just a testament to coaching. Not everybody has a backup like Mac Jones to get you
Yeah.
through the rough times. So kudos to that whole coaching staff on I think prepared them for that. But man, it would be nice to have our studs out there.
Well, I hope so. I hope we're gonna see 49ers at the playoffs this year. We're gonna see. For you, which 49ers draft pick in recent memory impressed you most from an IDP perspective?
From an IDP perspective,
Perspective.
that last one, Michael Williams, he
Yeah.
before he got hurt did really well. Um, they always seem to do a really good job, I think, drafting linebackers. We haven't had to recently because of Fred Warner. Nick Martin, I had super high hopes for this year, and it seemed like he had a bunch of opportunity to take the field, and it never really did. So that one kind of let me down, just because I was so hyped on him, but he never, again, even with all the opportunity, had a chance to make an impact. So that one worries me a little bit. But on the flip side of that, Michael Williams here in recent memory, I think has been great.
Nice. If you could change one rule in the NFL to make the game better for defensive players, what
Mm.
would it be?
Growing up, I don't want to sound like an old guy here, but they protect the quarterback so much. I understand why they do, and without the quarterback, everything comes crashing down like a ton of bricks. You can't have guys like Mahomes and Lamar getting hurt, all the time. People aren't going to tune in and watch. They're not going to go to the games. But so many games I feel like are decided by that roughing the passer call. Um, it just almost makes me sick sometimes that some of the plays that are taken off the board because a guy barely put his weight on a quarterback, and then they're looking at that, drawing it all the way back, and now the game's in a whole different state. I think that they should to look at that a little bit more. But again, I understand the why behind it.
Are you with or against the tush push?
Oh, I hate Philadelphia. I'm just going to go on record right now. I don't even know if it's just me and you right here. I am not an Eagles fan. I can't stand their fans. I can't stand the team. The coach even. I can't stand the way he looks. Um, I'm not a fan of the tush push really, but I cannot take it off the board. I can't really because it's just my guy versus your guy. Find a way to win. And if a bunch of other teams were out here doing it as well, and maybe we have something to talk about. But
Right?
I cannot, even as much as I don't like them, say, hey, let's take this play away because we can't stop it. That is goes against my DNA, goes against my code. I just can't. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night almost if I wanted to get
No,
rid of the
I'm
Christmas.
against it
But
too.
however, if
I
they
don't
do
want
get rid of it, I'm not going to also lose any sleep. So
it. I get it. I get it. If you hate the team, I mean, they're not gonna lose sleep at all.
if they go to take it off the board, I just don't want it to be because of me. That's all.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I heard a lot of talks about it. I hope they're not gonna take it from them. I mean, it has been for a long time in there. And I mean, if other teams like you can do it, like you can do it. I don't know why they don't do it, but
Yeah, I guess I don't, and I think you're seeing more of that. You're seeing variations of it.
yes,
I think that it might come down to a rule for like pushing a player in or how that's done. Maybe there's some adjustments made, but even in some of the variations, the quarterback standing behind everybody, just hands in his pockets. He's not part of it at all. And then you got Jalen Hurts out there, he's squatting buses, and he's like, I have to be in there. So there's just so many different ways to do it, which is why, again, I mean, get creative with it, have fun with it, but we can't take it away.
that was Peanut
That was Peanut. That
going
was
through.
Peanut. Yeah, and then Smokey was here earlier. I don't know if
I
you've seen
know, I
him.
saw
Yeah,
Smokey in the back too. I
they
love that.
want to be on the interview too here.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. I love it. I love it so much. So, Michael, tell me, when did you first play fantasy football and what format was it?
Um, my first memories of fantasy football was like a family league. My uncle used to play, and then my two cousins were always football diehards. We wrangled in, some of our friends that were football diehards as well, and we did that league for many, many years. It was competitive. We talked about it all the time. Trash talk all day, every day. Thanksgiving was eventful. I think I wrote about it in one of my articles. My cousin Jeremy at the prayer for Thanksgiving let everyone know he was thankful for Adrian Peterson and Peyton Manning, and this was, I'm sure he was playing one of us at the time. But it was just your typical standard 12 team, offense only, and we did it forever. And then, I started some other leagues again, just like I'm doing now with some other people. And it wasn't IDP at the time, but we were getting the ball rolling.
That's awesome. That's cool. So, what drew you from the start from standard fantasy into IDP dynasty format?
Yeah. Again, I got to give credit to my guy David. He drew me in, and then just kind of seeing draft picks, that can turn into players. My first time playing, I thought I took over an orphan team, and I thought I had some sort of chance to win, maybe make the playoffs, make a deep run, get lucky, be able to look back at all these guys and say, look, I just joined this dynasty IDP thing and just won it my first year. So I was really like making what I thought at the time were smart moves. I'll
Yeah.
never forget I traded my first round pick for the following year for Mark Ingram. And that first round pick ended up being Saquon Barkley, that I traded him away because I wanted to win now and talk smack to everybody. So I got Mark Ingram instead. And for those of you who know, that was not a good move by any stretch of the imagination. And just kind of taking that and learning from it and growing and building a team and thinking ahead of the curve and getting ahead of some of these players and kind of sticking it to your league mates that way. The imagination just ran wild. I started to stay up for hours scouting our free agent pool and trying to figure out patterns and all these different things that people weren't really doing yet, and found some gems. Monroe St. Brown, a couple diamonds in the rough, and then from there it was just like, this is fun. Let's take this as far as I can take it.
So Mel was saying, if I can do IDP, everybody can. What's the single biggest misconception new players have about IDP?
Hmm. I talked about. I think a lot of people overcomplicate it. They think too much of it. But once we're in the league and settled in, and you decided to play, some of the biggest mistakes I see people make is overvaluing certain positions.
Okay.
Defensive backs, they overvalue maybe some rookies, that probably aren't going to play right away. And if you haven't played much IDP or Dynasty, really, you don't recognize that. You maybe think that this rookie that went in the first or second round is going to sort of be the savior to your team. You're mistaken. And it's definitely not going to happen right away. But I think overvaluing positions is the number one mistake I make. Number two, maybe even number one, looking at the projections. I see so many people just get bent on looking at projections, especially with IDP, that I mean, some of the best players on some of these leagues are projected like 0 or 2 points when I know darn well they're going to get 10 to 15. And if you don't recognize that, or you just take that projection and run with it, you're probably also going to end up with people on the other side of it that are projected 10 points. And if you're following the tea leaves, you know that guy's not even going to start.
Yes.
So I think taking those projections and just banking on them is a huge mistake with IDP.
Wow. I
And to
love
the
that
creators of
because
these,
not
I
many
mean,
people know.
can we get these projections maybe more accurate out there also? I think IDP, just in general on some of these platforms, doesn't get a lot of love, even down to their graphics on their face. It seems like they're the last ones to the party there. They still
Yes.
got like, it just doesn't seem like it takes priority sometimes.
In your opinion, which IDP positions do most new players undervalue?
Well, if you're not really, I mean, look at your scoring. Look at your scoring, number one, okay? Because if it's big play scoring, and what I mean by big play is sacks, interceptions, and forced fumbles. If it is big play dependent, you kind of really want to lean into defensive linemen, I think. They get the sacks, of course, they get the forced fumbles. If it's balanced, which really means like tackle focused, and not really dependent on those big plays, you got to key into your linebackers. If your league has like flex spots where you can start defensive lineman, linebacker, or defensive back, those flex spots should really be taken up with linebackers. I think at least that's what I try to do. Think about the offensive side of that. You want to fill those flex spots up with wide receivers or running backs typically. You don't really want to put like a tight end in there. That
Yeah.
on the defensive side of that, sometimes that can be the equivalent of like a defensive back or a defensive lineman. You want a high floor there as often as you can.
So tell me, Michael, what's your favorite IDP sleeper pick you've ever rostered?
Hmm. Love. Great question. Um, Last year, I think there was a guy. His name's Kaliki Hudson. Okay, he played for the Commanders, and he was a playoff stud. And he just got a lot of playing time, a lot of tackles, and he was not on anybody's radar at all. And I think come playoff time, that's where IDP is a little bit different than offensively because you got to be in the know. You have to know who's going to be starting, who's going to get the snaps, and a lot of times those players can be second, third, fourth stringers if we have injuries. Look at the Niners right now. They had Fred Warner, Tatum Bethune. We're rolling into the playoffs. I don't even know if Robinson's going to be available. Now my guy Nick Martin maybe gets a shot. I don't know, but if we're playing fantasy football right now, it's really important to know, which one of those guys is going to be able to get the points because somebody's got to get the tackles. And I think we just got to do the math on who that's going to be.
So, JC, send me the date for the expo. It's gonna be July 24 till July 26. So
Okay.
it's gonna be in July this year.
Make sure we
Just
don't
to
have
let you know.
anything. I think we're going. We do like a camping trip with our friends every June down in Mohican,
Bring
Ohio.
them.
Yeah, a lot of them actually play fantasy. We're in there mid-June camping, talking about trades, sitting around the campfire. But yeah, a lot of them might come to the expo as well.
Yes. So this is gonna be really great if you get to go.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. It sounds like a huge event, and something I've
Yeah,
been
it's
thinking
gonna
about
be
for quite a
awesome.
while.
So, Michael, talking about IDP, and we're talking a little bit about injuries as well. How do you handle injuries and long-term IR spots in Dynasty IDP?
Uh, I find myself checking depth charts a lot.
Yes.
Right here on my desktop, going to ESPN or the team depth chart, seeing who the next man up is, kind of identifying how long that injury is going to be. And week to week, I think so many people get caught up in dynasty. I got to have this stud that's going to be here forever. He's got to be young. He's got to have production. And you forget that we're playing a week to week game sometimes. And, you can make those moves, pick up, drop, obviously, but understanding who the next man up, super important and super underrated. You're not always going to have Derwin James or Fred Warner that you're rolling out there. Um, and then handling it like long-term IR spots. I never want to burn an IR spot up, with somebody that even with them being healthy, um, I'm probably going to drop anyways. Maybe it's somebody that I take a chance on and see what the roster looks like when they come back. But I really try to use my IR spots on the premium guys. Fred Warner's in there. I can't stop saying his name. Nick Bosa. I think Malik Neighbors, offensively. So try not to burn those IR spots up on guys that are what ifs, I guess.
What's one rule tweak you think improves IDP leagues universally?
One rule. We were just talking about this in that big IDP invitational. I have always had on my, and maybe this will be foreign to a lot of people out there, but when I manage my
Yes.
leagues, I make sure on your bench that you can only have so many offensive players and so many defensive players, because
Yeah.
I think that brings balance, to the player pool. You can't have like three or four teams that stocked up on a bunch of IDP players, and now the rest of the league doesn't have anyone to choose from. And I just think it creates a little bit of um, sort of makes it unlevel playing field almost. So I try to manage that. I go through every so often. My league mates are probably annoyed with me, but I make sure that everyone has the right amount of players, and I'll call them out in the chat type of thing. That's where the management side of me comes out, and getting organized, making sure that everyone is not playing by different rules than anyone else.
So tell me, what motivated you to start 4 leagues and help start more locally?
I always have had such like uh, I guess a gift to bring people together,
Yes.
to
Love that.
network, to see strengths within people, and if I see a friend over here and maybe a guy over here that has common interest, I find enjoyment, I guess, out of bringing them together and seeing what kind of stuff they can come up with. I've done this with disc golf. All my buddies here locally that play disc golf, we have a little group that try to put on tournaments. And with my pool league, I'm the pool league captain. I just got off the phone with somebody before this call about putting
The
together a
commissioner.
roster. Yeah, the commissioner put together a roster. Got to make sure I got bench spots filled up. Then, of course, what I do for a living, I manage people and uh, take that into fantasy football. And here I am commissioning leagues and directing traffic and trying to think. I'm going through Facebook. Oh yeah, that guy's a sports guy. This guy's a sports guy. Let's see if he wants to play IDP and
Love it.
introduce him to the world. So, and then another thing I did was I created an IDP redraft league. Um, so that way people don't got to get committed to Dynasty, because if it's new to you, maybe I don't want to commit, $40 to $100 and be stuck in this
Yeah.
Dynasty league for 3 to 4 to 5 years. So I created a redraft league, and that was my way
Yes.
of introducing IDP without a lot of commitment, and I brought in some guys that I knew that knew the game, to
I
maybe
love
help
it.
guide and mentor some of these newer IDP players. But all in all, everyone's decided to come back. I haven't had anyone tell me that it was rocket science for them. And it's so funny, some of the guys that have turned their nose up to IDP are super smart people. I know, darn well that they can figure it out. I guess it's just, do you want to or not?
So before talking about, like being a league founder and commissioner and everything, how did connecting with Greg, TSA, Iggy, and JC change your trajectory?
What I mean, that was just such like a wild day there. It was a Sunday. I'm scrolling through Twitter. I took a break off of your everyday social medias. It was getting too political. It's again a whole other conversation. But I shut myself off from Facebook, Instagram. I even deleted Pinterest off my phone. And the only thing I had was X, and I unfollowed everybody on X. And I only
That's me.
followed, not you. I only followed sports, NFL, football. So it became a tool for my fantasy football world, really, for news and updates. And I was following musicians and like Howard Stern
That's
stuff.
good.
I unfollowed all that and then just made it about football. And then through that, one day I was sitting like on a Sunday, and Greg was live, and I just simply hopped on his chat. I think I asked some start sit questions. I was having technical difficulties. I remember I couldn't come on and ask them. I had to write in the chat. But after it was over, Greg called me, and that was the first introduction to any content creator. All of a sudden, I got some guy from the Fantasy Football Hall of Fame calling me, and I'm standing out on my front porch. My wife's like, "Well, what is going on here? Like, who are you talking to?" And one thing led to another. He's like, "I got some guys I think you would really like to meet, and you would work well with." Introduced me to Iggy and JC, and then from there, I never even wrote articles. It never even crossed my mind, honestly. And JC, and Iggy kind of gave this platform to us and let us use it, gave us the keys to the castle, it felt like, and got publisher logins like overnight. I'm like, what is going on here, And
I love it.
one day I just sat down and started writing. I took Greg's, if you're familiar, he has people come on his show, Snack, Crack, Boom, and Pop, and the Thursday Checkdown, and they pick like three people within the top 12 that are going to finish out of it, and then vice versa. So I just simply took that idea, thank you, Greg, and put it in the form of an IDP article. So every
Yes.
week I would, go through and do that, and it took on a life of its own pretty quickly.
So I do I make posts as well on Facebook, and Greg retweeted two of my friends, Michael and Carla. So honestly, Greg put me into the podcast.
Oh, really?
When I first started, he just threw me through in the fire, and he said, "Okay, you and Wendy, you're gonna start your own show.
I
Do
think
whatever you want."
he finds enjoyment out of that, maybe, because that sounds like what happened to me.
Yes,
Next thing I know, we're writing articles and doing podcasts. So
right.
Greg's got a talent, or an eye for talent, I think.
That's amazing. I love Greg so much. I love my TSA team, and welcome to the family.
Yep.
So I love that you are part of the family as well, Michael. That's such a huge thing. And the TSA team is always welcoming. So I'm really glad you're part of it.
Yeah, I don't know if you looked or followed like the views and stuff like that. I tell you, but like the last 3 or 4 weeks, it went from my article having 30, 40, maybe 50 views to my
Yes.
last article had like 960 something views.
Wow.
And I thought maybe since it was playoff time, obviously a lot of people got eliminated, so there'd be less viewers. It was my thinking, but I think once those people are left, maybe it cranked up the heat, and if you're left, maybe you're playing for money, and now you're searching for content. I don't know what it was, but I stayed true to
It's
the
your
course.
work.
There it is. That's all it
You're doing something good.
is.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Thank you.
And people see that. And people see that. I'm so proud of you and I'm so happy for you. Seriously. Like
Thank you.
it makes my heart happy when I hear this stuff.
Well, I appreciate that
That's
a lot. I mean, even being invited on the show was awesome.
such an
I think
honor.
it's just a sign of things to come. 2026. I feel like a lot of doors are going to open up in a lot of people's lives. But yeah, this has been fun all the way around. I never thought we'd be sitting here.
That's I love that. So it's almost the end of our show, Michael, and I really don't want to end our show honestly because you're such a an amazing person. I want to learn more about you, but I do have some rapid fire and fun questions to ask.
Uh oh.
So let's go ahead and get to know you a little better on that perspective.
Okay.
What's your favorite pre-game snack?
My favorite pregame snack. I need some. I'm a good old wings and pizza guy. That's
Yes, let's
I,
go.
I
Me too.
Yeah, I can't go wrong there. Traditional. Make sure it's some good flavors and the pizza's right, and you won't hear me complain.
Hot wings.
I like spicy, sweet stuff like Asian zing. I like sweet and spicy.
Oh, the more hot, the better for me. I'm like that person.
I have a limit, after habanero. I don't know where that's at on the Scoville unit scale, but whatever that is, I don't really try to go past
Oh, I go to that
it.
limit. I do. I love that. Favorite non-football athlete to watch?
My favorite non-football athlete to watch, Shane Van Boning, one of the best pool. He's the best pool player in the world especially
Yeah.
for US. So I got to give my pool guys a plug there. Look up Shane Van Boning. Uh, Proud to be a USA pool player there. He represents.
Best trash talk line you've ever used?
Best trash talk line I've ever used. I'll go back to the video game days. I kind of use it pretty often. You got to go away to make a comeback. And I'll say that pretty regularly once I've come back, and they've talked their trash. I stayed silent. I stayed focused. I come back. By the end of the game, I'm left on top. And I just hit them with that little subtle. You got to go away to make a comeback, and that usually hits them right in the heart. I don't got to go overboard with it. It gets the job done.
Well, you say what you need to say. What's the most embarrassing fantasy move you still laugh about?
Oh my gosh. Mispronouncing somebody's name, I think, at a draft one time. Um, that did it for me. I was so sure it was Tompkins, Kenbrell Tompkins, from Patriots way back in the day, and I pronounced it Tompkins. I don't know why, but I did, and the whole room just started laughing, and it was brought up as recently as this year. So another thing I did before they calculated playoff moves was the night before. I remember I had my math out. I was doing the notebook. I had everything figured out. I was sure that I made the playoffs. The next day came. I did not make the playoffs.
Oof.
Everybody let me know how my math was wrong. and how I need to go back to school, yada yada yada. So those are two pretty embarrassing moments.
Listen, I butcher a lot of names. I'm a teacher. Every single time I butcher names. And like, you know, so I have a European like accent, and sometimes I say Packers instead of Breakers and stuff like. So trust me, I'm
Hey,
I'm that person, Michael.
understood. Yeah, it happens a lot. More than I'd like to admit. So,
Me too. Me too. If you could add one rule to fantasy football, what would it be?
if I could add one rule to fantasy football, to keep this in the spirit of IDP,
Yeah.
it would be that every league has to have an IDP player on it. That's a pretty extreme rule, but it would get the ball rolling in the right direction.
Yeah, that's cool. So this question is about pool and cornhole. And by the way, they play cornhole at Ohio as well at the expo. Just letting
Okay,
you know.
is a big thing in Ohio, so I'm not
It
surprised.
is. It is. So what's your favorite pool or cornhole memory?
Um, Pool, that one's pretty hard for me, but we won a league one time. It wasn't the biggest league I ever played in. It was like a local league. And it was a long time ago, but it was with my friends, and with my family. And when we won that league the year before, we came up short. And then the night we won it, me and my buddy Matt, I remember
Yeah.
celebrating. We played forever, something we've been working towards for a long time. And I did it with my cousin Joe and our other good friend Tony. And it just felt like it was supposed to happen, and it felt very rewarding. Won much more money and a lot of other tournaments aside from that, but that one stands out to me. Something I probably won't ever forget. And then with cornhole, I'm not as like official, I guess, with cornhole. Like I don't play in leagues. I don't really go to many tournaments. But when our buddies get together and we're cooking out, and we do have like the official graded cornhole equipment. It's all got to meet certain standards. But I don't really have one certain memory, but it's more so just hanging out with friends and being competitive, and seeing the unlikely shot go in that swings the game, and that sort of stuff always makes it a lot of fun.
That's cool. What's your go-to karaoke song?
Not a big karaoke fan. My
No?
wife would wish that I was. I mean, she's the one that's dragging me to the dance floor. She probably this is gonna be so crazy. Uh, oh my gosh. God,
Is it Big
I could
Booty?
probably do like a Dixie Chick song really well. Earl Had to Die. I could do that
I love
really,
it.
really well. I could do a lot of songs, but like I feel like if we had to get up there and do a song, we could
We have
probably do.
karaoke too at
I'm
the
sure we
expo.
do, and I am not doing that ahead of time. Don't even ask, but
I'm gonna sign up for this when you go,
oh my
Michael.
God. No, I bet that's probably the most random song to even think of. But I'm
I'll
thinking
talk
about
to
my
your
wife. I'm
wife.
thinking about what she would be good at. She's probably gonna have to be there with me. So I'm gonna need a song that she's, comfortable with. So we're gonna
Yes,
go with that one.
I love it. I love that. If you weren't in retail management, what would you be doing?
I love to cook. I feel like in a different life I could be, or I would have been maybe a chef or something like
Nice.
that, but life didn't go that way. And I think you work a lot of crazy hours. I'm not so sure the money's worth it either in that industry. Maybe I'm wrong. Sales is a little bit of a brutal game. Every month the clock sort of starts over, and you gotta do it again. It's not very rewarding. I don't feel, because things don't tend to last. There's a very short scope of, it's not what have you done for me, it's what have you done for me lately. So maybe something a little bit more rewarding, in that aspect, but I don't know. If I could go down a different road, maybe start a food truck and find a living that way. Would be something I think I would enjoy. People say do what you like and you'll never work a day in your life. That's what
Yes,
comes to mind when I think about that.
I love that. What's the weirdest superstition you have on draft day?
I have to be locked in. I don't do well with sit down draft, hurry up and go. I need to have, like, I gotta have a drink here. I gotta, bathroom's gotta be used. I gotta be sitting down. I gotta be comfortable. I can't be chaotic. That's my superstition. Because if that's out the window, I'm probably gonna make a wrong pick, and then next thing you
Yes,
know, I got my excuses in mind for why I didn't make the playoffs.
I agree. I agree. So before we're done, Michael, I do have one more question, and I do ask that question for all my guests. So, what's something, or maybe a secret that you never shared, or something that you did when you were a teenager or younger, or maybe now, and you never spoke of at all to anybody, and no one knows about it? You want to
Oh,
share on
what,
the Game Changers tonight?
has this ever got anyone incriminated or?
Everybody has to
Um.
answer that question, Michael. So
Okay. All right.
pick
All
and
right.
choose.
This might sound. Have people given pretty like crazy responses here?
Oh my God. If you watch this show, some put someone on fire, some they put someone in the someone
Put them
stole
on.
something when they were little. Like there's a lot
Okay.
of crazy stories.
Okay.
I'm telling you,
All
crazy
right.
stories.
All right. This one just has never left my mind ever. It was when one of my friends got his license, okay, for the first time, and the other three of us either didn't have our license. I know I didn't for sure, or didn't have a car. And we were sitting around. It was late at night, and we decided to go hit some mailboxes. Right? I don't know if you've ever seen that, but we're taking some baseball bats maybe, and we're hitting some mailboxes. And everyone got a turn. I except me. I didn't get a turn, but it was because of what I'm about to tell you. I was next up, and we hit somebody's mailbox, and this guy was in his truck chasing us before we knew what was going on, and he wasn't stopping. He was gonna figure out who did it, why they did it, what was going on, and the only way we got away was we were on a back road that led to a main highway. All right, and we're racing down this back road. It kind of had a big hill, like you could probably jump this hill if you had enough speed, and we were going pretty quick. We come to this highway, and as we're coming to this highway, a semi is coming. And if you're driving legally, you probably would stop here. But we seen an opportunity, or my friend seen an opportunity, to get out in front of this semi, so that way the car following us could not get out in front of the semi. And we got away, made a quick turn. Guy couldn't find us, or he didn't know where we went. But in hindsight, if my son ever did anything like that, we would be having major conversations. I can't believe that's what this show is ending at right now. That is a true story.
I do believe I heard another story like that too. One of my guests, they did talk about something like that as well. That's crazy though. That's crazy. You
It,
only see
it,
this stuff in the movies,
I
Michael.
know it really was wild. I think we had spray paint and we did all kinds of stuff that night.
Oh
We
my
probably
God.
shouldn't have, and it does not represent who I am today,
I
for what
know.
it's worth.
We
All
all
right.
did stupid stuff while teenagers.
Yeah. No, that was a wild one. Yeah, we'll just stop it there.
Wow, that's crazy. Thank you for sharing that story with
Yeah,
me.
absolutely.
I really appreciate it. So, before I wrap up, Michael, please tell everybody the best way to connect with you online and where they can follow your work.
Yeah, you guys can find me on X, IDP Pelton. I'll be sharing stuff on there throughout the off season. I think towards the Super Bowl, I'm going to have an article out on how to prepare for your off season when it comes to dynasty, specifically IDP. And then aside from that, you guys can find me at TSA. I have a Discord, the Fantasy Film Room. You guys can hop in there, ask any start sit questions that you want. But yeah, thank you guys for following me all season long. I'm on Reddit as well under IDP Pelton. I try to share my articles on there as often as I can, and what a community that is. Let me just say. So,
It is. I love that. So I have to say hi to my students as well. I have a lot of my students watching me on TikTok. So I want to say hi to them. I don't have the chance to talk to them. I always like say hi and give them some hearts, but I really appreciate them like jumping in and saying hi to me.
absolutely.
Yeah, once in a blue moon. I love it. Michael, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of the Game Changers. I really loved our conversation and I wanted to go like furthermore, but I do have like 100 plus questions for you, but it's always like we don't have the time for going through all the questions. So maybe another time, definitely, if you're up to. Or I can talk to you to bring your wife
Oh, I mean,
for
if you
the
want to
game
get both of
changers.
us on here, that would be something there. You can pick her brain on how she's navigated the IDP
I
Dynasty
would
world.
love it. I would love that. I'll definitely like text you and send you some DMs so we can make that happen. Um, thank you guys. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight of the for the Game Changers. If today's conversation gave you a fresh perspective on fantasy football or the game of life, do me a favor, drop a comment with your biggest takeaway and one question maybe for Michael for this episode. I do read them all and maybe Michael can answer you as well. Mark your calendar and join me for next Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time with Adam Murphat for more game-changing conversations. Big thank you for JC for the behind-the-scene magic and the powerhouse of the team TSA for making this platform possible. If you enjoyed the episode, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a review, and follow us on social media. Check out the show notes and timestamps and links. Until next time, keep challenging the game and making your mark. This is Carla and Michael signing off. Have a great evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. Bye.